The stars glittered across the void like silent witnesses, watching the fate of humanity unfold. For centuries, Earth had remained distant from galactic politics, quietly growing, exploring, and learning. Humans had reached the stars, but they were still new compared to the vast and ancient species that ruled the galaxy. At the center of it all stood the Galactic Council, a union of thousands of alien civilizations. They maintained peace, or so they claimed. In truth, the Council acted as the galaxy's authority, demanding loyalty and tribute from every rising species to keep them protected. When humanity first appeared among the stars, many older races laughed. To them, Earth's people were loud, stubborn, emotional, and unpredictable. They called humans the reckless children of the void. But humans had one quality that made them different. They never accepted change easily. Now, decades after joining interstellar society, Earth received a message from the Galactic Council. It was not an invitation. It was a demand. The transmission came through every major communication channel. In orbit around Earth, in colonies on Mars, and in the stations scattered across the asteroid belt. The message repeated in every known galactic language. By order of the Galactic Council, humanity is hereby required to pay tribute to the Council's treasury. This tribute ensures your protection, access to trade, and continued membership within the Union of Worlds. The message continued coldly, listing what the Council expected: a yearly tribute equal to 10% of Earth's total production. Energy crystals, refined metals, and genetic material, valuable resources that would cripple human progress if handed over. At the end of the message came a threat disguised as politeness. Failure to comply will result in revocation of your status and protection under Council law. Defiance will be treated as rebellion. The Council Hall far away in the grand chambers of the Council. The most powerful alien species discussed humanity's response even before it arrived. The Thalkren, tall insectoid beings known for their cold logic, assumed the humans would obey. "They are a young species," hissed Councillor Valar of the Thalkren Dominion. "They rely on our trade routes and technologies. They will comply or fade into silence." The Vorthon, massive reptilian creatures with scaled hides, rumbled in amusement. Humans fight among themselves. They cannot resist a united council. They will bend. Only one counselor, an elder being from a peaceful water world, spoke differently. "Their spirit is unpredictable. Do not assume their answer," warned Councillor Saral of Ophiara. "Humans may surprise you," the others laughed. To them, no primitive species would ever dare to refuse the Council, Earth's leaders on Earth. The United Terran Assembly gathered in Geneva. Every representative, military, scientific, political, sat in tense silence as the message played again on the holo display. Admiral Rhea Solis of the Terran fleet broke the silence. "They want 10% of everything we have built. 10% of our future." Minister Aidan Clark, Earth's chief diplomat, rubbed his temples. "If we refuse, the Council will likely cut our access to the wormhole gates. We'll be isolated." General Rahim Khan crossed his arms. "Maybe that's what we need. We built our first FTL ships alone. We don't owe anyone our freedom." The room filled with murmurs. Everyone knew the danger of defiance. The Council had crushed rebellious worlds before. Planets reduced to silence, their skies filled with alien warships. But humanity was not like the others. Admiral Solis turned to the assembly. Her voice was calm, but her eyes burned with quiet fire. "Every human child learns about those who came before. People who stood up when told to kneel. That is who we are. We survived wars, plagues, disasters. We never gave up. Why start now?" The room fell silent. One by one, heads began to nod. President Elena Ward, the elected leader of humanity, finally stood. She looked at the message repeating on the screen and then turned toward the gathered council. "Let them wait for our answer," she said. Across the colony's news spread faster than light. Across Mars domes, lunar cities, and distant outposts on Jupiter's moons, people argued and debated. Some feared the Council's power. Others burned with pride. In a mining colony on Ceres, a young worker named Tomas looked up from his shift and said, "They think we'll pay them to bully us? Not a chance." In the orbital academies, students discussed what would happen if Earth stood alone. "We might lose everything," said one. Another replied softly, "Or we might gain something more important, respect." Everywhere, humanity's restless spirit stirred. The waiting weeks passed. The council waited for the tribute shipment. None came. At first they thought the humans were simply late. Then days turned into weeks, and impatience spread through the alien delegates. In the grand hall of the Galactic Council, the central communication hub lit up with a signal from Sol system. The humans finally respond, hissed Counselor Valar. Let us hear their pledge. Thousands of species tuned in across the stars. Every trade route, every colony, every broadcast system echoed with the same curiosity. What will humanity say? A single human figure appeared on the screen. It was President Elena Ward, standing before a simple flag, Earth's blue and white emblem glowing softly behind her. Her voice was calm and clear. To the Galactic Council, we have received your demand for tribute. We have discussed it. We have considered your terms. She paused. Millions of eyes across the galaxy focused on her. Our answer is one word. Every alien leaned forward. Some expected yes. Others, perhaps, negotiation. The translation system flickered as the single human word echoed across the stars. No. Shockwave silence spread through the galaxy like a storm. On every alien world, citizens replayed the transmission again and again. No? It was unthinkable. No species had ever refused the Council so directly. No one had dared to speak that word since the founding of the Union of Worlds. In the Council Hall, outrage erupted. Counselor Valar struck the table with his clawed limb. They defy us. They insult the entire Council. The Vorthon roared. Then we will show them what happens to defiance. But Counselor Saral of Ophiara only watched quietly, her deep blue eyes calm. I warned you, she whispered. Humans do not bow. Back on Earth, the humans celebrated not with fireworks or parades, but with quiet pride. People felt something awaken in their hearts, a reminder of who they were. They knew the Council would not ignore this. They knew ships would come, perhaps armies. But they were ready. Humanity had faced impossible odds before. As Admiral Solis stood in orbit aboard the Terran flagship Resolute, she looked out at the stars. The galaxy has heard our answer, she said softly. Now they will see what it means. And somewhere deep within the shadows of space, a fleet of alien warships began to move toward the solar system. Humanity had spoken one word, and that word was about to change the galaxy forever. The word no echoed across the stars for days. In every corner of the galaxy, from the crystal towers of the Thalkrin Dominion to the floating cities of the Vorthon Empire, beings of countless shapes and colors spoke of humanity. Some called the humans brave. Others called them foolish, but none ignored them. For the first time in centuries, a new species had said no to the Galactic Council, and meant it. The Council's outraged the Council Hall, located on the great station EpicSciFiTales, had never been so filled with noise. Representatives from hundreds of species shouted, argued, and blamed each other for allowing this rebellion to grow. Counselor Valar of the Thalkrin Dominion slammed his claw against the floor. We must send a fleet at once. Show them the price of defiance. Counselor Mirok of the Vorthon Empire bared his fangs. Agreed, if one young species refuses us, others will follow. The Council's authority must not be questioned. But not everyone agreed. Counselor Saral of Ophiara, calm as always, rose from her seat. Violence will only make them martyrs. Humanity is not like other races. They are united in spirit when challenged, Valar hissed. Then what do you suggest, Counselor? We let them insult us? Saral looked at the projection of Earth on the central display, blue, green, and proud. No, but perhaps we should understand what drives them. They may surprise us again. But her words were drowned in a wave of anger. The Council voted. By overwhelming majority, they approved Operation Compliance. A fleet would be sent to Sol system, not to destroy humanity, but to remind them who ruled the stars. The coming storm back on Earth, the message from the Council was received days later. Humanity is ordered to comply immediately. A delegation of the Galactic Fleet will arrive within 20 standard days to oversee your cooperation. Failure to submit will lead to enforcement actions. President Elena Ward listened silently as the words played in the Terran Assembly Chamber. Around her, leaders and generals exchanged worried looks. General Rahim Khan spoke first. Enforcement actions means fleets. They'll come in strength. Minister Clark frowned. We can't fight the whole council. Their fleets outnumber ours 100 to 1. Admiral Rhea Solis leaned forward, her voice steady. Then we won't fight their fleet directly. We'll make them think twice before they attack. President Ward turned to her. Explain. Solis brought up a holographic map of the solar system. We've been building defenses for years. Orbital cannons, stealth mines, and drone swarms. The Council doesn't know how far our technology has come. Clark looked uneasy. You plan to ambush them? No, Solis said. I plan to warn them in our own way. Hidden preparations across the solar colonies, humans worked day and night. On Mars, engineers installed new railguns along the Tharsis Ridge. Massive cannons capable of firing metal slugs at near light speed were hidden under camouflage nets. On Luna, the gray plains glittered with movement as swarms of drones were activated, small, fast, and deadly. In the orbit around Earth, massive stations powered up new energy shields. For the first time, the Terran Defense Network came online. Admiral Solis walked through the command deck of the Resolute, watching as her officers prepared. Status report, she said. Defense satellites ready. Mars batteries on standby. Drone wings charging power cells, replied her aide. Solis nodded. Good. Remember, our goal is not destruction. Our goal is to make them listen. A message from the shadows, while the Council fleet prepared to move. An unexpected message reached Earth through secret channels. It came from Councillor Soral of Ophiara. Her voice, calm and soft, played through the holographic display in the President's office. President Ward, this is Soral. I speak not for the Council, but as a friend of peace. You must understand, the Council does not tolerate defiance. If you resist, their fleets will come. They will not stop until Earth kneels. Please reconsider. President Ward looked thoughtful. And if we do not? Then you must be ready for the consequences. I hope your people know what they are choosing. The transmission ended. Ward stood in silence for a long time before saying quietly, We know exactly what we're choosing. The Council fleet, the first enforcement fleet, left from the core world soon after. Led by the Thalkrin dreadnought Eternal Dominion, the fleet carried ships from over 20 different species. It was more than a show of power. It was a declaration. In total, over 2,000 warships moved toward Sol. The galaxy watched in silence. Would the humans surrender before the fleet arrived? Or would they really try to resist the might of the galaxy? The calm before an orbit above Earth. Admiral Solis stood on the bridge of her ship. The stars ahead looked calm and distant, but she knew what was coming. Her second-in-command, Commander Lewis, joined her. They'll be here soon. 20 days feel shorter every hour. Solis nodded slowly. Our ancestors once faced impossible odds. They never gave up. We won't either. Lewis smiled faintly. Do you think they'll actually attack? Solis looked out at the blue planet below. They think we're weak. That's their mistake. Below them, humanity prepared, not in panic, but in quiet determination. People stockpiled supplies, volunteered for defense duty, and sent messages to their families on the colonies. Every human knew the same truth. They were about to stand alone against the galaxy. The fleet arrives on the 21st day. Space near Neptune rippled with bright light. Thousands of wormhole gates opened, spilling ships into the solar system. Giant cruisers, sleek destroyers, and vast carriers appeared like a moving wall of steel and light. The alien commanders watched their displays. Human transmissions detected. Reported a Thalkrin officer. Put it through. Ordered Admiral Valar. A calm human voice filled the alien ships. This is Admiral Rhea Solis of the Terran fleet. You have entered restricted space. Identify your purpose, Valar sneered. This is Galactic Council territory. You will power down your weapons and prepare for inspection. Solis's reply was simple. Negative. You are trespassing. Leave Sol system immediately. Laughter spread through the alien channels. They still think they can threaten us, one said. But their laughter ended when hundreds of small blips appeared on their radar. Fast-moving objects rising from the inner system. What is that? Shouted a Vorthan officer. Human drones, hissed another. Thousands of them. The first warning. Before the aliens could react, the drones formed a massive formation, an artificial ring around the fleet. Then, with perfect precision, they released a synchronized electromagnetic pulse. The stars flashed white. Alarms screamed across alien ships as sensors. Targeting systems and engines went dark for a moment. When systems came back online, every alien ship found a human message painted across their screens. This was a warning. Next time it will not be harmless. The council commanders were stunned. No one had ever dared to disable their fleet, even temporarily. Valar's mandibles clicked in anger. That was a trick. They cannot stop us. Advance. But some captains hesitated. The humans had shown power and restraint. Admiral Solis watched from her command seat as the alien fleet reorganized. They won't leave yet, she said. But they'll think twice now. President Ward's broadcast that same day, President Ward addressed both humanity and the galaxy. Her image appeared not just on human channels but across open frequencies. To the Council and all who listen, humanity does not seek war. But we will not give tribute. We will not be ruled. We ask only to live free among the stars we have earned. She paused. If you come in peace, we will welcome you. If you come with threats, we will endure them. And if you come with chains, her voice hardened. Then you will find we still remember how to break them. The broadcast spread like fire. On worlds far from Earth, young species watched in awe. Some whispered that humanity spoke for all those too afraid to speak. The divided council back on Elith Prime, the council was in chaos. Some demanded immediate invasion. Others urged restraint. Councillor Soral spoke once again. They have warned us. They have shown strength without destruction. Perhaps we should listen, Valar hissed. They insulted our authority. If we do not act, every species will defy us. But even among the council's members, whispers began to spread. Some smaller races, those long under the council's control, began to ask themselves, if humans can say no, why can't we? The edge of war in the cold of space, two fleets faced each other. The aliens waited for orders. The humans waited for a move. The silence between them felt heavy, like the breath before a storm. Admiral Solis stood on her bridge, eyes fixed on the alien ships. They wanted a tribute, she said quietly. Now they'll get a lesson instead. Humanity had given its warning. The next move would decide the future of the galaxy. The silence between the two fleets stretched across the void like a taut wire ready to snap. On one side, the Galactic Council fleet, a wall of silver, gold, and alien steel. On the other, the Terran Defense Force, smaller, humbler, but burning with unity and purpose. Every sensor, every weapon system, and every mind in both fleets waited for the first move. In the command chamber of the Thalcrin flagship Eternal Dominion, Admiral Vilar's mandibles clicked with irritation. They dare to resist us with such small numbers, he hissed. Begin the advance. The alien officers obeyed, and the massive ships of the Council fleet started to move forward, slowly, confidently, like predators approaching certain prey. The line in the stars on the bridge of the TFS Resolute. Admiral Rhea Solis watched the enemy formations approach on her tactical screen. Blue dots marked her ships, 200 human vessels standing against thousands. Her officers waited for her order. Commander Lewis leaned closer. They're moving into attack range. Solis's calm voice filled the bridge.
Hold position.
Let them come to us. The silence on the bridge was heavy, but her confidence held them steady. Out the viewport, Earth hung like a shining jewel in the distance. Everyone knew what they were defending: home, family, and the right to stand free. The Council's confidence in the alien fleet. The Council commanders were already celebrating. The humans will surrender after the first barrage, said a Vorthan warlord confidently. No world has ever survived our fleet's opening strike. Admiral Valar raised a clawed hand. Then let the galaxy watch our strength. Fire. Hundreds of energy cannons lit up across the alien armada. Blinding beams of light tore through the void, crossing millions of kilometers in seconds. The first wave of shots streaked toward the human defenses, an unstoppable storm of power. Humanity's shield. Impact in 5 seconds, shouted a human officer on the Resolute. Activate the Aegis net, ordered Solis. Across the solar system, thousands of defense satellites came online simultaneously. Beams of blue light connected between them, forming a glowing web of energy around Earth and the nearby planets. The alien shots hit the shield like a storm against glass. Energy flared, alarms screamed, and the lights flickered, but when the brightness faded, the shield still stood. Cheers erupted across human channels. The Aegis net is holding, Solis smiled faintly. Good, now they know we can stand. The counterstrike, the alien fleet paused, surprised. No world had ever resisted their opening strike before. Impossible, Valar growled. Their shields cannot withstand our full power. His officers hesitated. Admiral, their technology is not what we expected. They've advanced faster than any recorded species. Then we will crush them the old way, Valar hissed. Deploy assault wings! Thousands of smaller alien craft launched toward the human fleet. Fast and deadly, they filled the void like a swarm of glowing insects. But the humans were ready. Launch drones, Solus ordered. From hidden bays around Mars, Luna, and Earth, tens of thousands of Terran defense drones burst forth. Sleek, silver, and small, they flew in perfect formation. The two swarms met in the middle of space, and the void erupted into chaos. The battle begins, tiny ships danced between the stars, dodging, weaving, and firing beams of light and bursts of plasma. Explosions lit the darkness like brief suns. Human drones moved with machine precision, guided by an artificial intelligence network called Helios. It predicted enemy movements, countered their formations, and turned their numbers against them. From the bridge, Solus watched silently as the swarm war unfolded. Enemy losses increasing, reported an officer. They're losing coordination. Keep the pressure steady, Solus said. Don't chase. Let them exhaust themselves. Within minutes, a third of the alien assault crafts were destroyed or disabled. The Council fleet began to realize this was not the weak prey they expected. The trap, but the humans were not done yet. Begin Phase 2, Solus commanded. At her order, hundreds of seemingly empty cargo ships hidden near the asteroid belt suddenly came alive. Panels opened, revealing massive railguns. With precise targeting, the guns fired dense metal slugs at near light speed. They cut through the void silently, but hit with the power of small suns. The alien ships never saw them coming. A Vorthon cruiser exploded in a burst of fire. A Thalkran destroyer's shield collapsed and the ship broke apart. The alien fleet scattered in confusion. What is happening? Shouted an alien officer. Valar's claws tore into his control panel. They have hidden weapons. Spread the formation, but spreading made them weaker and humanity's trap was complete. The human spirit. Across every human channel, voices crackled with determination. This is for Earth. Hold the line. For freedom. Even as ships were damaged and lives were lost, no one retreated. Commander Lewis turned to Solus. We're losing the Artemis and Vanguard. Should we pull them back? Solus shook her head. No, they knew the risk. Every second they hold gives the rest of us a chance. Down on Earth, civilians watched the sky through telescopes and holoscreens. They could see faint lights of the battle above. Children pointed upward, whispering prayers and promises. Humanity was not just fighting for victory, it was fighting for dignity. The Council's fear, as the battle dragged on. The Council's command channel filled with panic. Their tactics are unpredictable. Our systems are overloaded. Pull back. Pull back. Admiral Vilar refused. No retreat. They cannot defeat the Council. But even his flagship shuddered under another railgun hit. Alarms wailed and flames filled the lower decks. For the first time in centuries, a Council fleet was on the defensive, and across the galaxy, countless species watched the live feeds in stunned silence. The humans were holding against impossible odds. The turning point after hours of battle. The void was littered with wreckage, burning ships, drifting debris, and the silent remains of brave fighters from both sides. On the Resolute, power levels were dropping fast. Admiral, we've lost 50 ships. Shields are failing. Solus stood straight. Then it's time for the last move. She activated a command sequence that had been prepared in secret. From deep within Jupiter's orbit, something massive began to awaken. A station hidden for years under the planet's storms rose into space. It was Project Dawnspire, a superweapon not meant to destroy but to send a message. Solus spoke calmly into the open channel. Council Fleet, this is Admiral Solus. You came to demand tribute. You came to remind us of fear. Let me remind you what it means to be human. The Dawnspire station glowed brightly. In an instant, it unleashed a controlled burst of energy, a massive light wave that rippled through space. It didn't destroy. It illuminated. For a moment, the entire solar system shone like a new star. Every alien ship's system shut down for 60 seconds. Their weapons powerless, their engines silent. And through that shining light came a simple signal from Earth, repeated across every frequency. We do not bow. The retreat. When the alien ships regained power, they found themselves surrounded. Human railguns were locked on their positions. Drones hovered around them, and their own formation was shattered. Admiral Villar's voice trembled with fury and disbelief. We are withdrawing. This battle is over." The alien fleet began to retreat through their wormholes, leaving behind wreckage and silence. Human ships did not chase them. They simply held position, battered but unbroken. Cheers and tears filled every human channel. Commander Lewis whispered, "We did it." "We actually did it," Solus nodded slowly. "The first battle is ours. But the war has just begun." Across the galaxy, the news spread faster than light. Billions of beings watched the recordings. The small human fleet standing against 1,000 ships and winning through courage, intelligence, and unity. On distant worlds, people whispered the same thing. The humans fought the Council, and they didn't lose. Small rebellions began to spark across the galaxy. Planets that had once paid tribute now questioned why they should. The Council's iron control began to crack, and in her private chamber on Ophiara, Counselor Soral smiled softly. "They have changed everything," she said. "The aftermath on Earth." President Ward addressed the people once more. "We stood against fear and we endured. The Council may return, but they will never see humanity as weak again. We did not fight for conquest. We fought to be free, and we are." Cheers rose across cities, colonies, and space stations. Humanity had written its name into the stars, in orbit. Admiral Solus watched the sunrise over Earth. The planet glowed blue and peaceful, unaware that it had just become a symbol for the entire galaxy. She whispered softly, "Let them come again. We'll be ready." The stars above seemed to shine brighter that day, as if the universe itself had taken notice of a single word that changed everything. No. The victory over the Council's fleet had sent waves across the galaxy, stronger than any human could have imagined. Humanity had proven that even a young species, standing united, could defy thousands of years of interstellar authority. But the ripples of that single word, "no," were just beginning to spread. News. Across the stars, every star system with communication networks received the news. The humans had resisted, had fought, and had won against the Council's enforcement fleet. On the industrial world of Prime, factory workers paused as holoscreens displayed footage of the battle. One worker, a four-armed being named Ral, whispered, "They are not like any species we know. They stand for themselves." Across the water cities of Ophiara, Counselor Soral watched reports of alien fleets returning battered, reluctant, and fearful. For centuries, the Council had been untouchable. Now even the smallest species were questioning their dominance. "Humans did not just fight for themselves," she said quietly. "They reminded everyone that fear is not absolute." Sparks of rebellion, small systems that had long paid tribute, began to murmur about freedom. On the moon of Thessara, a colony had endured decades of taxation and labor to the Council. After seeing humanity's courage, the colonists sent messages across their networks. "If Earth can say no, why can't we?" Secret meetings began in hidden chambers. Plans were drawn. Across a dozen star systems, whispers turned to action. Rebellions, small at first, began to ignite. The Council was slow to react. They had never faced defiance like this. Every attempt to send fleets to enforce compliance was met with hesitation. As commanders feared repeating the disaster it saw humanity prepares on Earth, President Elena Ward, Admiral Rhea Solis, and the Terran Assembly watched these developments with careful attention. Humanity's fight had already inspired the galaxy, but the Council would not forgive such audacity. "Each rebellion is another reason they will come back," said Minister Aidan Clark. "The Council cannot allow their authority to crumble." Admiral Solis nodded. "That may be true, but these rebellions are proof that fear is not eternal. Humanity's actions have changed more than our own fate. The galaxy is awake." President Ward spoke slowly. "Then we must prepare for the next challenge. If the Council returns with larger forces, we need alliances and intelligence." First contact with allies Terran scouts began traveling to distant systems, seeking cooperation. Humanity extended messages not of domination, but of solidarity. On the star world of Valoria, a peaceful avian species called the Crithians received a human envoy. "We do not ask you to fight for us," explained Admiral Solis. "But if you value freedom, stand with us. Let the Council know the galaxy will no longer bow silently." The Crithians, inspired by humanity's courage, agreed to provide intelligence, transport networks, and logistical support. Small alliances began to form. For the first time, humans were not alone in the galaxy. They had allies who understood the importance of independence. A shadow moves. Meanwhile, in the darker corners of the galaxy, the Council worked behind closed doors. Councillor Villar, humiliated and enraged, demanded that the Council deploy a full-scale armada to Sol, enough to crush humanity permanently. Councillor Marok of the Vorthan Empire warned him, "Do not underestimate their ingenuity. They survived once. Do you truly think a greater fleet will succeed without loss?" Villar hissed. "Then we take no chances. We will return with everything we have. They will kneel, even as they planned." Councillor Siral cautioned again, "If you push too far, you may lose not only Earth, but the loyalty of countless worlds who already question your rule." But few listened. Fear of losing authority outweighed wisdom. The people of Earth on Earth, life continued even as the galaxy watched. The human spirit thrived in ways both quiet and grand. Children reenacted the Battle of Sol in schools and playgrounds, calling each other admirals and captains. Families celebrated simple moments, understanding that the survival of their species rested on courage and unity, rather than brute force alone. Engineers, scientists, and ordinary citizens worked tirelessly to improve defenses, explore new technologies, and strengthen interstellar communication. Humanity understood that the Council would return. Preparation was not just military, it was cultural, social, and intellectual. The first test of the Ripples months after the Battle of Sol, small fleets from several human allies intercepted Council supply lines. They disabled ships without destroying them, sending clear warnings. Tribute will no longer be taken without choice. Independence will not be ignored. The message spread rapidly. Across the galaxy, countless minor systems watched, amazed that humans, not kings, not gods, not ancient species, were changing the rules. The Council, once absolute, found themselves hesitant. Every decision now risked inspiring more revolts. The balance of power had shifted, and they were not used to uncertainty. Galactic diplomacy human diplomats were now active across hundreds of systems. They did not speak of war. They spoke of freedom, respect, and equality. "We do not wish to conquer or rule," President Ward explained in a broadcast. "We wish only to live free, and to remind every species that freedom is not a privilege given. It is a right taken and defended." Even species that had never interacted with humans began to send messages of admiration and cautious alliance. Humanity had become a symbol, the spark that lit a galaxy ready to question tyranny. The Council strikes back despite these ripples. The Council could not ignore the human threat. In secret chambers, Vlar and Marok planned a return to Sol, stronger than before. Their fleets now carried more weapons, greater numbers, and the first experimental devices designed to bypass human shields. Councillor Siral warned quietly, "Do not underestimate the humans. Their strategy is not just power, it is their unity, their unpredictability. Force alone may not succeed." Villar dismissed her warnings. "We are the Council. Every species bends or breaks. Earth will do the same." Yet, even he could not hide the growing unease among the smaller species who now whispered about humanity in quiet tones. Humanity's morale back on Earth. Citizens followed every news report from distant systems. Each small victory, each system that resisted tribute was celebrated. Humanity began to see themselves not as a fragile species, but as leaders of a movement. On Mars, engineers worked on expanding the railgun arrays and drone networks. On Luna, scientists tested stealth technology and new energy shields. Humanity's colonies became fortresses of innovation. Even civilians contributed, volunteering for supply chains, communications, and research projects. Every human, no matter how small, felt a part of the defense. Unity was no longer just a moral choice. It was survival. The first signs of fear. The Council's remaining admirals began to hesitate. Their ships moved slower, cautious not to engage human and allied patrols. Vlar's frustration grew. Why do they resist so well? One species, still young, should not inspire others. Yet they do, Marok growled. Perhaps the humans are more dangerous than we imagined. Fear spreads faster than weapons. Even among loyal Council worlds, whispers of doubt began. If Earth can resist, what about us? The galaxy had begun to rethink authority, and humans were at the center. A quiet celebration on Earth. After months of preparation, President Ward addressed the people once more. We have survived our first battle, and our first ripple has traveled farther than we could have imagined. The galaxy is watching, and many are beginning to stand. But we must remain vigilant. The Council will return stronger than before. Our challenge is not just to defend Earth, but to inspire hope and unity across countless worlds. She paused, looking at the stars. The word we spoke once no was not just our answer. It is the answer of every species that values freedom, and we will continue to defend it. The future awaits. The solar system stood prepared, united, and alert. Human fleets trained constantly, alliances strengthened, and every citizen played a role in ensuring that freedom would not be taken lightly. Across the galaxy, minor systems debated their future. Some prepared for rebellion. Some began to openly defy the Council. Humanity had not only survived, they had inspired. The Battle of Sol was over. But the ripples of human courage were only beginning. The galaxy would never look at Earth the same way again. In the heart of humanity, the message was clear. One species, united, could change the course of history. The galaxy had changed. Humanity's single word, no, had echoed through countless systems, awakening hope, courage, and defiance. For the first time, the Galactic Council faced a species that refused to bend, and now the Council had decided to act. The Second Enforcement Fleet was the largest the galaxy had ever seen. Thousands of warships, massive carriers, and experimental vessels bristled with power, moving toward the solar system. Their mission, subjugation, but humanity was ready, not just for battle, but for the reckoning that would decide the future of freedom among the stars. The Council's resolve on ElithPrime. Councillor Villar's eyes burned with fury. They humiliate us again, he hissed. They inspire rebellion. Earth must kneel or perish. Councillor Merrock's claws tapped rhythmically, and yet we are unsure. Their fleets survive longer than expected. Their strategies are unexpected. Cyril spoke softly, her calm blue eyes scanning the chamber. They are not like any other species you have faced. They do not fight because they fear or obey. They fight because they believe. You may win the battle, but if you fail to understand that, you will lose the galaxy. Villar ignored her. Plans were made and the fleet departed. Every system in the Sol sector was notified. Earth would be dealt with decisively. Humanity prepares on Earth. Preparations were meticulous. Admiral Rhea Solis walked the halls of the Terran Command Center, reviewing fleet status reports. Ships fully operational, reported Commander Lewis. Drones ready. Railguns calibrated. Shields at maximum capacity. Good, Solis replied. The galaxy thinks we are small, weak, and alone. Let them arrive and see the truth. President Ward addressed the Terran Assembly. We are not just defending Earth. We are defending a principle. Freedom cannot be bought, and courage cannot be silenced. Our allies are ready. Our people are united. Humanity will not kneel. Every human colony from Mars to the distant stations of the asteroid belt contributed to the defense. Engineers improved drones. Scientists tested stealth systems, and volunteers reinforced orbital shields. The Council fleet arrived in the outer reaches of the solar system. Ships blotted out stars, their weapons humming with deadly potential. The Second Enforcement Fleet was a tidal wave of steel, fire, and authority. But when they approached Earth, they saw something they did not expect. Fleets of allied species, small but determined, forming a defensive perimeter around the solar system. Humanity was no longer alone. Admiral Wheeler's mandibles clicked in frustration. How, they're allies? Cyril's quiet voice echoed in his mind. The ripples spread faster than you can control. They are not the only ones who dream of freedom. The first clash as the Council's massive cruisers moved forward. Human railguns and orbital cannons fired in perfect unison. Drones swarmed like silver storms, intercepting enemy assault crafts. The alien fleet unleashed energy beams, cutting through space with deadly precision. Explosions lit the darkness, painting the void with light and shadow. But the humans fought not only with technology, they fought with strategy and unpredictability. Every attack was calculated, every maneuver designed to turn the Council's strength against them. From the command bridge of the Resolute, Solis observed the chaos. Do not lose hope, she said to her officers. Every second they hesitate is a second we gain. The turning tide. The Council's experimental weapons were impressive. Ships capable of bypassing standard shields, energy nets that could disable drones. But humanity had anticipated these moves. Hidden stations along Jupiter, Saturn and Neptune activated countermeasures. Massive solar mirrors redirected energy beams harmlessly into space. Drone swarms overloaded enemy systems. For every strike the Council delivered, the humans had a counterstrike ready. Their defenses were not invincible, but they were clever, coordinated, and relentless. Enemy losses escalating, reported an officer. They are withdrawing small units, Solus smiled. Good. Let them retreat into confusion. The Council divides inside the Council, panic spread. Some species demanded an immediate full-scale assault. Others, inspired secretly by humanity's courage, argued for restraint. Councillor Saral raised her voice. Listen to reason. Humanity has not only survived, they have united allies and inspired hope. This is not just a species we fight, it is an idea, and ideas cannot be destroyed with weapons alone. Many younger Council species, quietly observing the conflict, began to whisper doubts. If humans could resist, perhaps their chains were not eternal. Valar's fury grew. We will not be mocked. Prepare the dreadnoughts. But even he could feel the hesitation. Authority had always been absolute until now. Humanity strikes. Admiral Solus made a decision. Humanity would not wait for the Council to falter. They would act boldly. Deploy Project Dawnflare, she commanded. Deep within Neptune's orbit, massive stations released an array of energy pulses, creating artificial gravitational anomalies in temporary wormholes. Ships of the Council fleet were thrown off course, systems overloaded and formations broken. The humans did not destroy. They disabled and contained. Every move sent a clear message. Humanity could defend itself, but it did not seek to annihilate. Across the galaxy, species watching the battle held their breath. A small young species had faced the greatest power in the galaxy and survived. The Council's retreat faced with unexpected resistance, broken formations, and mounting fear. The Council commanders made the only choice they could: retreat. Ships limped back through wormholes, battered and humiliated. Their fleets were still vast, but their aura of invincibility had vanished. Admiral Valar's voice trembled as he reported. We withdraw. The humans have changed everything, muttered Marok. Humanity's broadcast after the battle, President Ward addressed the galaxy. Her voice was calm but carried the weight of human courage. To every species listening, we did not fight to conquer. We fought to live free. We fought to show that fear cannot rule, and tribute cannot enslave. Humanity will continue to stand for freedom, not just for ourselves, but for all who dream of it. The broadcast was received by billions of beings. Many worlds began questioning their own position in the galaxy. Humanity's example ignited hope, courage, and the belief that even small species could shape history. A galaxy awakens. Over the following months, dozens of systems openly refused to pay tribute. Hidden fleets began to support each other. The Council's power, once unchallenged, now faced uncertainty. On Ophiara, Councillor Saral watched the news, smiling quietly. They have done more than survive, she said. They have awakened the galaxy. Even the most stubborn Council species realized that humanity had changed the rules. Fear no longer ensured obedience. Intelligence, courage, and unity had proven stronger than centuries of authority. Earth and its people on Earth, citizens celebrated quietly. Not for war, but for resilience, unity, and hope. Children drew pictures of spaceships, elders told stories of the Battle of Sol, and scientists began new projects inspired by the galaxy's admiration. Admiral Solus looked at the stars from her ship, the Resolute, now repaired and ready. The Council will return, she said. But when they do, they will not face a weak, divided species. They will face humanity, united, prepared, and unafraid. President Ward added, and they will not face us alone. We have allies. We have courage. And we have the truth. Freedom is worth fighting for. The blue planet below glowed with life and hope. Humanity had not only survived, they had inspired. The legacy. The galaxy would remember Earth for centuries, not for its fleets or its weapons, but for its spirit. One word had changed history. No. The word echoed across star systems, whispered in colonies, celebrated in secret meetings, and shouted in defiance by worlds once silenced. Humans had shown that even the smallest species, united in purpose, could stand against giants. They had reminded the galaxy that courage, intelligence, and heart were more powerful than fear or authority. And as humanity looked up at the stars, they knew one truth. The galaxy had seen them, and it would never be the same.